now March, the third month in 2026, and we haven't heard anything about the next game for Atelier. And I want to know what's up. So let's talk about it. Play the intro.
I don't love the kind of woman that will actually just kill me.
It's your boy Kentman, and last year we've gotten Atelier Yumié, Resleriana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian, and the Rise of Trilogy. That is 5 good Atelier games. Last year, they did a pretty good job of announcing the brand new Atelier game of what's going to happen for Yumié and everything, and we got March when it released. March 23rd, 2025 is when Yumié released. So I was expecting that we would kind of have the same kind of window time, but we really haven't heard anything about what's happening with the Atelier series. Now, we know what's happening with Gus and the Team Ninja team going over to Gus and creating a brand new Gus division, and now we're going to probably be getting better Atelier games along with Venus Vacation and stuff, which we did hear. And we also heard that the producer of Atelier series wants to actually continue to make more challenges for the Atelier series like Yumié and the Rise of Trilogy, as well as just maybe create new protagonists that's kind of in the same realm as Yumié and Risa, but still keep the Sophie, the Raronas, and all that kind of jazz intact. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't mind what protagonists they go with a brand new one, Risa, Yumié, or anything. I just want a new Atelier game. I just want to know what's going on. Now, we're not privy to Kyo Tecmo shadow dropping games, so maybe they will do that again. But since the Atelier series is still kind of niche, it's starting to break out a little bit more in the JRPG space. But as the Atelier series is still a niche series, it needs that time to build up. So it makes me wonder, is Atelier probably going to be a winter release? Like, we'll get another one in September and in November like they did last time. Last year, they tried to make it where you have the main big Atelier game, which is Yumié. Then you have a kind of a new game, which was Resleriana and the Red Alchemist. But that one was kind of like it was a new game, but it was like off the bridges of the Gacha game. So it didn't really have to do much to like make that game. Like, it was still beautiful and it was still great and an amazing time. I had an amazing time with it. However, it still was like off the backbones of what the first Resleriana did. So it didn't really have to do much to like make a brand new world and stuff like that. It had the same kind of art style, the same kind of engine and stuff. But then you had Rise of Trilogy, which did add a lot of new content in the game, which I still need to play the second and third one to see all that new content, which I will be getting to. Just a lot of games right now. And I feels like if they were going to announce a new game for this year, that's going to be like a brand new Yumié 2. I feels like they would have already announced it by now so we could get the hype up. And if they were going to release it, I feels like March would have been the perfect time to release it again, because like it worked out for Yumié last year, and Yumié sold 300,000 copies in the first week. Now, the one thing I want to talk about more is Resleriana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian. Now, that game surprisingly did pretty well within the Atelier space, but it seems like that game didn't actually perform as well as Yumié and the Rise of Trilogy remasters happened. And I want to know if it's because the fact that they, one, named the game Resleriana and it didn't separate the games from the original Resleriana, which I was saying that from the beginning it was going to be a problem and an issue, but also the fact that most people didn't get the chance to play the Gacha game. I feels like it was kind of a mistake to start the story off with a second game. Even though it is kind of a standalone game, you can go into it playing it by itself. However, when we first got the announcement that Atelier Resleriana, the Forgotten Alchemy, and the Liberator of the Polar Night, yes, a long freaking name, I'm not saying it again after that, was getting canceled in the West, it was perceived as an offline version. That means that it was going to be the same game, but an offline version in a more traditional way that Yumié and Risa was released. That's what we were perceived. But when we got another trailer, we got Resleriana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian as a whole new game with new characters. So it looked like it was going to be a brand new game, but it was still titled Resleriana, and it confused a lot of people. And from that point, I was always saying that they should change the name to Atelier Reyes, as it's a new protagonist, a new character, and it has a completely new story. Even though Resna does play a part in this story and is a prominent person in this story in some ways, it should have been a separate game from the original, so it can seem like it's like a sequel, but it's like different, you know, almost kind of how like they did before with the Arlen trilogy and the Dust trilogy, how each one plays a part in the whole overarching story, but it's their own individual games with their own stories. It could have followed that same tradition. And I think that's what they were trying to do, but because a lot of people didn't play the Gacha game and wasn't able to play the Gacha game because they, you know, most people didn't want to play a Gacha game and they wanted to play it originally. And when they said they were going to do an offline version and they didn't, I think it confused a lot of people. And I knew it was going to. And now there's not really a lot of good reception in Japan for this game. Like, most people thought it was a nice game, a niche game, a nice, like, fine game for the Atelier series, but they didn't really find it really that favorable or memorable. Over here in the West, we loved it, you know, absolutely loved it. But over in Japan, they didn't find it that well received, or that they didn't care about it as much as we did. One thing that also makes me feel like the Resleriana didn't perform as well as all the other games is that we don't see any merch of Reyes or Slade or anything else, because you see Yumie getting figures. She's getting one next year. She's getting a couple this year. Ryza is always getting figures because she's like the poster girl of the series, which I'm not mad at, but I know other people want to see other characters. And Sophie still gets merch and she's getting stuff, but not really Reyes or Slade. It's almost like they kind of like are hiding them away and they don't want to show more merch of them. Like when the game was coming out, they had a lot of merch for it and they had a lot of posters and figures. They didn't have figures, but they had acrylic stands and stuff for the games. But once the game's released, it's kind of like they just moved past it because maybe it didn't sell as well. A little bit of an added note to that is that right now they're promoting this new collab with this new gacha game called White Cat Project. I don't know that much about it, but they're doing an Atelier collab with them, and the characters feature is Sophie, Ryza, and Yumie, which is all great characters I love. But one character that is not prominent is Resna or Reyes. So it's almost like they don't want to promote them as much. I mean, at least Resna is getting a brand new wall scroll and they still do care a little bit about Resna, but I think the whole Resleriana like gacha game formula is all confused because even in Japan with the version, there's a completely new protagonist in that game. I really don't understand what went wrong with Reyes, because Reyes is a very cute character and a great design. Thinking about it more, what I think they should have done is take the same route that Sonic X Generation did, where they had the base game of Sonic Generations on one side and they had the brand new content of Shadow Generations on another side. They should have did the same thing for Resleriana, where you had the base game of the gacha game where you get to play as the story through Resna's eyes and perspective and see how she became an alchemist and was able to fight off the liberators. And then you have the Reyes side where you have the dual protagonists and stuff, but it's like a separate game. It could have just been one big game, but with both sides of the story, because they do play a part to each other. Now, again, you don't need to play the first game to enjoy Reyes' story, because I mean, she doesn't really show up that much to make a difference, but they do talk about her a lot. So you're missing some kind of elements of what happened in the first game if you didn't play it and now you don't have the ability to play it in the West because they canceled it. But I don't know, I think they just could have handled this game a lot better. Now, they did release DLC that you can play as Resna and Valeria However, it was like $17.99, which is pretty expensive for a DLC. I mean, they did add in extra content. I haven't played it yet, truly, but I heard more things about it. However, I feel like that is a lot versus how they handle Yumie's DLC when every DLC was like $7.99, and that's adding on the Grace's F collab, the Tekken collab. They added new maps and stuff, and I feel like they handled the DLC for Yumie a lot better than Ria, especially because I feel like with the game title Resleriana, Resna and Valeria should have already been playable in the game to begin with, instead of like Wilbell or Rez. Now, I don't mind Rez or Wilbell, and I really do appreciate that they had a variety of characters that you could play as. However, because those characters hasn't been around in a long time and you're not really playing, you didn't play Atelier Aisha for Wilbell, you mostly played it for Aisha. I mean, I'm pretty sure some Wilbell fans are out there. I'm sorry, but you know, you get my point. I feel like Resna and Valeria should have been playable from the get-go. You know, that's just me. Sorry. I didn't mean to take this into a whole mini review for Resleriana and the Red Alchemist. I just had more things to say about it now that I'm not on the high bias of off playing the game, and now we're 4 months away from it. Essentially, it came out in September, so about 4 months. Yeah, about 4 months away, so I'm sorry. But the more important thing is that we're in March, and we haven't really heard anything about what's happening with the Atelier series that much, besides the team changes and stuff, and that the producer wants to make more polished and more challenging and more upgraded Atelier games that's still Atelier, but like pushes the boundaries of the Atelier series a lot more. And I just kind of want to know when that's going to happen. Are we going to wait for Summer Game Fest to hear about it? I mean, we still have a whole year, and I'm pretty sure they could announce something during like maybe, I would say, May, and then release it in September. That's still enough time to build hype for it. However, for a year where we had 5 Atelier games and now we have nothing right now, and it's the 3rd month, I know it's still kind of early. I just kind of want to know what's up. I mean, they didn't really announce anything or talk about anything or tease anything, and it's just like, maybe they're not going to release anything this year, and it's just going to be 2027, we just wait for a new game to happen. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with waiting. I'm just, you know, as an Atelier fan, when we were in the up and up. And now we're in the what's happening kind of stage. At least I am. I don't know how you guys feel, but either way, I just kind of wanted to talk about Atelier 2026 and seeing where the franchise is going. And what I hope for the new year is that we do get a Yumie 2. I hope we do get a Yumie. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Yumie 2. I don't know when that's going to happen, but honestly, I would love a remake of Ellie's game to continue the Stalbert trilogy, because it seems like we were on the right track of remaking a lot of the PS2 games, and maybe the idea was to remake the Mana series. However, I feel like since Resleriana, the Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian didn't sell well, maybe they are hesitant to release a game of Rez again. Not saying Rez was the problem with the game, it's just that he's not one of the main female main characters. He's the only like male main character in the Atelier series for the Mana Calculus Alchemy series, and like I would love to play that. I want to play that. I don't know how many other people want to play that, but right now, with, you know, when you have badass main characters like Leon and, you know, Ryu and all that, I feel like it could work if they did it the right way. Maybe that's why they're getting Team Ninja involved. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. Let me know what you guys would want. Would you want to see a remaster of an old game, a new game? Would you like to see one of the PS2 games get remade? Would you like to see, like, I don't know, maybe one of the PS3 games get remastered? I mean, they already happened. They already had their trilogy deluxe versions, especially Rorona. Being able to see Rorona in the same style of Riaz or Ryza or Yumie, that would be a dream. That would be a dream. That would be amazing. But I doubt that that's actually going to happen. But maybe they might remake Sophie. Maybe they might make a Sophie 3, because people do love Sophie in Japan. Like, Ryza is like the top girl over here, but over in Japan, they love Ryza, but they also love Sophie a lot too. So like, Maybe they're doing something for Sophie. Who knows? But hopefully we see something soon. And it's really hype. And that's all. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How you guys feel. Do you care? Do you not care? Are you waiting? Do you want something new? Do you want something old? Do you want something just unexpected? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Remember that fan service is the best kind of service, and I will see you in the next video next time. Bye.